Welcome to the Underdog Sniper Podcast. I'm your host, MGCovers. This is episode 60. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. It's hard to believe we're at 60 episodes now, and I'm sure won't be long. We'll be recording the 100th episode. So greatly appreciate those of you that tune in to this show weekly. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, greatly appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to listen to the podcast. A lot to cover. Today is June the 2nd, 2025. I'm going to review numbers for May, take a look at that with year to date, talk a lot about baseball and soccer. That's pretty much what we're wagering on. And then, of course, we'll dive into the personal life here in the DR. For some reason, I don't know why, I would say one of the negative things about living here is I already have a very sensitive stomach. And I ate something Saturday. They have this ground pork, lean ground pork, which is, I eat that a lot at night. Ate a very clean diet. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just didn't settle on my stomach. So I think I have, quote, food poisoning. Yesterday, I was totally messed up. And today, feeling slightly better, but not much. Now, this will be the third time this has happened to me. It happened one time in Costa Rica, came back. And then the reason this time, I'm going to go to the doctor here soon when I finish this podcast. Last year when I came back from Costa Rica, I waited. So I got back on like a Monday. I remember my daughter graduated nursing school like that Friday, waited, went to the doctor like Saturday morning. I had like extremely low white blood cell count. I had some type of virus that had gotten into me. So it was basically eating me. That's, you start losing white blood cell count. That's the quote beginning of death. So I'm not going to take any chances. I'll go to the doctor and hopefully get some medicine to knock it out. But it's a miserable feeling. I would say that's probably one of the negatives, is that for whatever reason, your stomach will react different, at least for me, to foods here, just because, it just will. It's just not the normal, quote, food that you eat. So for me, that's probably a negative. I've had issues with my stomach, but here it seems like I've just sort of expected that that's going to happen to me. But hopefully I'll get that taken care of, and hopefully I can get through this podcast, if you know what I mean. So let's dive into some numbers here. We're going to talk about year to date. Let me pull this up. Okay, you're looking at year to date. If you look down there at the bottom, we'll review this. Year to date profit 9722.42, 3% ROI, 0.1% closing line value, something I'm really not too keen on, and total amount wager 325,000.4. Average, our unit size, basically the average amount we've wagered, 561.04. What is that third number? Whoops, I should have done that. My bad. I'm not sure what that is. And then the actual numbers, 248 and 249. So we've had a total of 509 wagers, which is about right. We generally average, for me, about 1,000 wagers per year. So we're on target with that. Now, if you go back up here and look at, I don't know if I can highlight this, look at MLB, about halfway, a little bit further than halfway up, 480.73. ROI 0.2%, closing line value, wager 71,000, average unit size 272, and then the record there 113 and 118. So we've yet, and you heard me talk about this if you follow me on Instagram, yet to get Major League Baseball off the ground. It feels so much different than last year. And we're going to talk about that when I go into the models. I'll show you some things I'm doing with Major League Baseball. But even though I'm technically not where we want to be after May, I will show you some stuff. And this is very important to do in this business. This business will beat you up. It's a grind, a mental grind. So you always want to take any opportunity you can to take something, reframe it into a positive. So I'll show you how to calculate units, sort of the backwards approach. So you look here at the profit, 97.22, the average wager size, $561. So what you do is you take that 97.42 amount divided by your average size wager, which is 561. So we take that, divide it by 561.04, and that gives us units year to date 17.3. So we're averaging 17.3 units. Now you take 17.3 units divided by 5. The reason we use 5, that we've completed the 5th month of the year, divided by 5, and that gets us an average unit of 3.46 units per month, which is really good. We take that times 12 to calculate our pace. Pace means what we're on pace to make for the year, and we're on pace for 41.5 units. So that's really good when you look at it from the macro. And last year we were 47 units, so not far off from that. So again, not where we want to be in baseball, and not where we want to be in overall, but still positive, and we'll continue to grind and kind of segue in the next part. I want to dive into Major League Baseball. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's take a look at soccer, because this is something that has really been done surprisingly well. Our tracker, and this was since 425, so just a little bit more than a month, we tracked this with a new model. Haven't started officially wagering it. It's 40 and 37.36 units, 15% ROI. It went 3-1 yesterday with the Brazil Series A and cashed. Look at this. Cashed Gremio at plus 140, Botafogo at plus 300. I think I made a video about this, or I talked about this in the podcast last week. Where you find value in soccer, it's rarely going to be on the home team. You will find a ton of value in the away team. Now, your win percentage on the away team will be significantly lower. And you can see there 40 and 37, we're just a little bit above 50%. But in order to get the full effect of soccer, you are going to have to play away teams. And we got the win there with Gremio plus 140, Botafogo at plus 300. Now, if you go back to the previous day, San Jose and Philadelphia, we played San Jose plus 200. Philadelphia was plus 140. I can't remember if San Jose was home or away, but I do know Philadelphia was away. So again, they really good MLS team. They got to win at plus 140. So playing those away teams, you're going to have to incorporate that in your handicapping. Can give you some really good value there. All right, but extremely excited about the progress we've made. We'll continue to wager on MLS and Brazil Series A. Now let's go to Major League Baseball. Now, what I want to show you, if this voice will hold up, this is the tracker. If we look over here on the right, okay, playing the top 6 teams, 31 and 28.88 units. So again, it's not like it's losing, down 20 units. It's basically a wash. It's basically even. And that's one thing I've noticed, is that the market has caught up, meaning we're playing the top 6 teams via the model. And more times than not, we're paying a significant amount of juice for these, quote, premium teams. And that's a clear indication that the market has adjusted. And, this was extremely profitable last year, just playing top 6. After I made those adjustments, model ended up closing out. If I exclude September, we were at like 48 units going into September, just playing the top 6 teams. Often, many times getting dog money, but not the case this year. So that was the first indication when I noticed this. I guess I made these changes on Friday or either Thursday, can't remember. So 31 and 28, it had gone down to basically even. And then if you look over here, playing the top 10 teams, the model currently, and that was through yesterday, 116 to 111, basically right at 50%, up 14.94 units with a 6% ROI. And you could see here, I'd sort of noticed that this was declining as well, a little bit. This still could be a potentially way to play. But I thought one thing I noticed was there were an awful lot of dogs cashing, and the number of runs scored in previous years was like 9.2. Now it's like 8.6. So not as many runs being scored now as there were in the past. So teams are a lot tighter. Therefore, you'll get more variance. You'll have, I don't know if you'll have more underdogs cash, but a lot more variance and maybe a case to play more dogs. So what I thought was, hey, what if I just tested, show you this next one, just playing all dogs. And so what I did was I went back and ran this tracker with the model from May the 1st all the way until through yesterday. So here's what I did. We would play dogs and we would put them in 3 categories via the model. The 50-50 game means if both teams via my model are favorites, then that would favor the dog via the books line. Same deal if they were both underdogs via my line, meaning one team plus 150, the other team maybe plus 170. That's a, quote, 50-50 game. That would favor the dog because teams have an equal opportunity to win. So I back tested this, and what I did was I used line movement as a trigger point. Going back to that first point I made about the top 6 teams, the books are the general public is recognizing those good teams, so you don't get as much value. So the market has improved in the last 3 years handicapping baseball. So that means the line movement is slightly sharper this year than it has been, and probably the most sharp it's been in the last 3 years. So I used line movement as a trigger point, meaning once we found a team to wager on, we would make sure that we had significant amount of positive line movement. And I broke this down in a coaching video where I explain exactly how we do it. because there's an actual trigger point. We're not just playing positive line movement. There's a certain trigger point that we use. And tracking this was up through yesterday, 31.28, up 12.63 units at a 20% ROI. Fortunately, we started wagering on it yesterday, and it had a over day loss with Tampa, Miami, Atlanta, St. Louis. But this is the way we're going to handicap it moving forward. And like I've always said, there's going to be risk you take in this business. That's just part of it. I think this is still a significant sample size. And I feel like this will be profitable long term, and probably more profitable and a better way to cap than we had previously capped. So excited about what we're doing here in the future. Hey, we cut this podcast short. Hopefully I'll feel better the rest of the week. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Talk to y'all later. Peace.